I'm fantastic. One of the things that my 12-year-old daughter asked me before I left for this trip is, she's like, Dad, do you get nervous getting on stage? Typically no, because I usually spend once a month talking in front of teenagers. And I tell you what, if you ever want to gauge your ability to command a room, you talk in front of a bunch of teenagers. I tell you what. All right, I can tell the energy is really low in the room. We need to have some Big B coffee over there. Just make sure you go grab some of that. And everybody stand up. We're going to do something. No, I'm just kidding. No. I am not the guy to lead that stuff, because you look at me like I'm not into that yet. All right. What are you going to get from me today? You're going to get authenticity. You're going to get a genuine guy. All right. What you see here on stage is who you're going to get wherever. I don't pretend to be anything else other than I am, because I want to maintain my humanity and maintain who I am, who I'm happy to be. I'm comfortable with who I am. Whoever thought when we started doing things like predictive analytics and machine learning that we would end up here in the advent of AI? Has anybody been afraid of AI in the past? Wondering if it was going, he's scared. Wondering if it's ever going to become self-aware and murder us all. Create the quantum singularity and destroy humanity and existence as we know it. That may happen, Jerome. It may happen eventually, right? I told you, Jerome. My God, it's Tyrone. Oh my God. Let's just start over, shall we? No, there may come eventuality where AI replaces all of us, and that's fine. But that time is not now, because as we are still living and breathing and doing things and creating content and being our genuine, authentic human selves, that isn't going to happen. We're in control of AI and using it for productivity, for creation, and for doing some really awesome and creative things, which we'll talk about in a minute. Since we're all a room full of marketers mostly, who all is in marketing? Who does marketing? There should be most of the hands in here. Yeah, right? So I'm not that. I'm a reformed marketer. Right now, I'm into e-commerce. I do some theater work, right? But my main job is equipping my team, which is a bunch of customer success professionals, and helping our customers be successful on e-commerce platforms that we develop on. But I understand marketing. I've been where you're at. I've done it, right? Marketing's great. But because you're a room full of marketers, I want to discuss a little bit about what types of things that you use AI for in generating cool content that you share to represent brands, to represent yourself, or your clients, and whatever. You can use AI to do amazing things, generating emails, product descriptions, all that kind of stuff. You just enter your prompts in wherever, and it deploys this great content for you, which we learned yesterday. We learned all this stuff yesterday. I'm not telling you anything new. You know how to do it. You know where to go to generate that stuff for you. Generating great images. They're finally getting hands right. Have you noticed that? It's actually not terrible anymore. I don't know if you've seen some of these really cool videos that are being generated with AI, but I'm on TikTok all the time. And one of the coolest things that I'm starting to notice, either it's because my For You page is totally messed up or I think it's cool, but have you ever, go search for Bible characters as influencers. Oh, isn't that funny, right? Hilarious. Obviously all done with AI. Another really cool section is, what if customer service people could actually say what they're thinking? Specifically in the coffee shops are funny as hell. They're so great. One of my favorites though is, what if Bigfoot was an influencer? Have you seen some of those? Oh. Obviously all AI generated, but it's gotten really, really good, wouldn't you agree? But it's a testament to the creativeness of the person behind that, putting in all the prompts and generating and creating the content, and then having these powerful image creation tools and video creation tools deploying that. We have to remember that all of these tools are just about as great as the human behind them. Now, I use AI mostly for data. All right, you can use it for your marketing, for your analytics to determine how successful a campaign is or not, and all that. We all, as marketers, understand that. I use AI to help my team be successful at their jobs. So we have a ticketing system that I input a lot of data into ChatGPT, and it's connected to Jira, which is the ticketing system that we use. And then every other day it spits out analytics for me to determine which of my team members are doing a really good job with responsiveness, customer success, interaction with our customers. And then it also tells me where some might need improvement. But the greatest thing about this is that using AI for data analyzation allows me, or frees up time for me to help my team. So instead of me taking that data, raw data, putting it into a bunch of spreadsheets and formulas and figuring all that out, which takes me a day or two, obviously, or more, this thing spits out this information for me automatically, and then I can go talk to my team members and spend more time with them and help them be more successful and equip them better. And that makes me a better manager because I'm hands-on with my team a whole lot more than I would be otherwise. But all of this doesn't matter if you utilize AI for everything. See, AI is only as good as the human behind it. And if all you're doing is using AI to generate content and doing nothing else, then there's no soul. There's no purpose. There's no passion. There's no reason. There's no that human quality which makes us amazing community. You'll lose that if all you're doing is using AI to pump out content and not doing anything with it. So if you're just generating content, it's just generic, it's boring, it sounds like everybody else, it's safe, but it can be forgettable. You can generate all this great stuff that sounds cool, that sounds like, okay, maybe I'll get some hits off of this piece of content, but if you really look at it and really read it and take the extra 5 minutes to read it and be like, this sounds like everything else, it loses that passion, it loses the soul. And if you just take a few minutes to edit that content, then you can infuse your humanity into it. Data-driven but lacking intuition. See, I just told you how I use AI for data because it allows me to have that human element in connecting with my team. Now, you can use this AI to generate analytics for inbound or outbound marketing, put them into a sales funnel or however you use it. But once you get that data, then it gives you the opportunity to connect with those potential and or existing customers authentically. Because then you know who they are. You know what they're struggling with. You know their ideas, their thoughts, their passions, what they're looking for. You get all of that if you're using AI and data together. It gives you that window into your customer. The other thing, too, about AI is it really is just about where it's been. It's only as good as the prompt that you give it, right? And now it uses an immense amount of data from online sources, yes, but it's still only as good as what you tell it to do. It takes data from the past. It takes information from the past. It takes ideas from the past. It takes thoughts from other people, other engines, other prompts. But it doesn't really give you a whole lot of window to the future, and that's where we come in. See, we're the future-driven people, right? We can use AI for all these great things, but we're the ones who are going to tell it where to go, right? Coffee, right? Right? Would you agree with that we're sort of the ones that sort of drive AI and we're telling it where to go? See, AI can't feel a story. Only you can do that. So if you add the human version of the story, it's an authentic voice that stands out. Whatever voice that is, right? How many of you have been here the last few years? Wow, a lot of new people. That's awesome. Well, just a little bit about what I've talked about here on stage the last few times. It's been about being authentic, telling your story authentically, being your genuine self online. And I've said before, I think it was last year or the year before, one of my closing statements was, use your voice to tell your story. Your voice is uniquely you, and only you can share the story in the way that you can. Use that story to build connection with other people, not just customers or clients, but other community. One of the biggest things I love about this conference, and why I won't miss it, is because I get to connect with people here in Lima, but also other attendees and the speakers, right? We've built these digital relationships, and then we get to connect authentically, Austin, together, hang out, talk about cool stuff, and collaborate, right? And see how we can become more synergetic together, help each other out in different conferences, or just be good friends and be together, right? And hang out and build community and connection. Because humanity is intuitive and emotional, and that brings in some content that makes people feel something. I've got this equation that, to be completely honest with you, I use AI for a lot of this, right? Now, last year I said something about my slides being terrible and that you didn't come here to learn about how to make a good presentation, but about how to tell your story authentically, because my slides last year were terrible. But in this case, I used AI to help me figure out, was there some kind of equation, was there some kind of thing that I could come up with that might break this down a little bit more succinctly. And so we got these three different components here about mind, heart, and soul, where using AI and these three different functions kind of assists you in creating content that not only is relatively easy to put together because AI is able to pump out a lot of different things for you, but then you can take that content that it generates and infuse heart and soul into it, right? So you can use AI for strategy. Now, I'm a very strategic thinker. I'm a brain guy, right? That's like where I mostly operate. Not much up here, but mostly up here. So strategic thinking, operations, that's kind of where I live. And so a lot of my prompts, when I'm either generating opportunities for my team or helping me be a better manager, or when I'm even generating content for other things, I use it from a very strategic perspective for research, for optimization. Now, one of my side things is I help a theater local to me in Michigan with their lights and audio. And I've been going through a project over the last year of completely improving their production value. So new lights, new audio, and working through that project of replacing all the lights from the incandescent bulb ones to all LED. And it's okay if you don't understand it, but it's a passion of mine is being involved in the technical aspect of theater. But in order to help me create the correct lighting map, I used AI. Put all the different fixture types in there, the size of the space, kind of the types of shows that we do, and it spit out within 15 minutes a whole list of options that gave me the ability to be much more creative in the placement of these fixtures. It gave me a roadmap, and it gave me opportunities to, yes, it gave me a box to fit within, but within that space, I can do some awesomely creative things with what we have and what we've purchased to replace. And same with the audio, placement of speakers, and how we're going to use some of those new devices to make the production value of the shows that this theater does amazing, right? And I used from a strategic perspective, AI to help me generate those ideas. Because then, for me, the important part is creating a really great experience for the patrons of this theater, so when they come in, they're not hearing Mike's feedback that feels natural. They're not hearing any tinniness, or all the mics are EQ'd for the talent, and the lighting that they're receiving. It creates an awesome experience that envelops them into this creative theater experience that all the directors and the actors have worked hard to put together, but I'm able to inject my heart into helping create that experience for them. Adding stories, allowing the actors to flourish because they don't have to worry about the technical things. And then finally, you put in your heart or your soul and your purpose, right? Who here has like a mission statement for themselves or for their business or something like that? Okay. I'm not saying that everybody has to, but everybody does, all right? Everybody has a reason for doing what they do. Everybody has a purpose for doing what they do, right? I like to speak on stage in a variety of reasons, not just here, but when I'm talking to teenagers or when I talk at other conferences. It isn't always just about what I have to share. It's about what does the community need and what do I have to offer that fits that need, right? I'm not in marketing all the time, but I use AI and I understand how to be authentic and genuine. So I put those two things together and I create a talk that hopefully is meaningful, but for me, it's a way for me to contribute, right? That's part of my mission and one of my passions is being able to contribute to a community to help it be better and maybe learn something from it. But ultimately, I'm leaning into a passion of mine, right? It's part of my mission, it's part of my purpose. So these three things, you utilize AI for it, find your personal roles and personal stories and your emotions, and then put in your passion, and that generates really good content. So here's an example. All right, so you're putting together a proposal, or you're putting together a strategy for a customer, right? So you put all the different prompts into AI, you've had your consult with the customer, you got the voice of the customer, you've got all the different aspects that you understand where the customer is, what they're looking for, how to help them, right? You put that into ChatGPT or your AI text generator of choice, and it comes up with some really cool ideas, okay? You have the initial drafts, you got the different concepts, you've got all these cool things. Now, that saves a lot of time, wouldn't you agree? Yeah, it saves a whole lot of time. It's like one of those things where this could have been an email rather than a meeting, right? Because you already have had that meeting, you understand what the customer wants and what they're looking for, and now you've created with AI, with the help of AI, concepts and things that you can then present to the customer, okay? Now you have the opportunity to take that content, so you're already like way ahead because you've got this really cool content. Now you're way ahead. Now you can go back to the customer, or if they trust you to do it for them, go back and as a human, edit with purpose and passion and ideas and thoughts and heart and soul to make whatever campaign that you're creating for them stand out. Because you've got the framework already there from the ideas and concepts that AI has generated for you, and now you can embellish that, add your humanity, and then you deploy that to the customer, and then they can add some more. They can say, hey, I want this, or I want that, I want to make some changes here, and then the customer is involved in the process, and then they're able to add their own humanity, their passions, their mission into the same content, and off you go. You use AI to help amplify and generate your ideas, but not replace them. You're empowering you and your team and your customer to be their authentic selves in all of these campaigns that you create with AI. So I've talked about wanting to, the title of the talk is to maintaining your humanity in AI, and so here are a couple of ways or a few ways that you can do that. So would you ask a friend Take this content to a friend and say, would you say that? Or would I say that to them? If not, you might have to revisit that because that sucks. Right? You might need to revisit or use another prompt or adjust your prompt or find a different way to maybe generate something a little bit differently. Then once you have something you like, if you're saying, hey, this sounds somewhat natural, I would say this to a friend, add some personal stories. And then maybe check the emotional tone. Does this make sense for me? You know, like the way that I might say something is going to be different than somebody else, right? So I grew up in New York, which probably answers a lot of questions for some of you. I lived in Minneapolis for a while, and now I live in upstate or up in central Michigan, but I'm not a native there. I stand out because I'm not, one of them. Whatever, it's fine, small town. So the way that my emotions, the way that I talk, the way that my tone is going to be vastly different, then that's why you need to really know your customer. The other thing too is you create a voice guide. Now I think, Allie, you're going to be talking about this during your table talk a little bit. Is this part of what you're doing? Yeah, Allie, she's going to be talking a little bit about that during the table talk session, so make sure you reach out to her. So put a voice guide together. It's like a style guide, right, that helps the AI learn from you and not the other way around, which seems like an afterthought, right? I mentioned at the very top that we drive where AI goes because it hasn't become self-aware yet. And we get to decide. We're in control of that. So one of the ways we do that is we generate a style guide. Tell it how it should operate. Tell it how it should be. Give it the voice that it needs to have in order to generate the content that you want it to produce. Another thing too, and we talked about video. Roger talked about video. Hi, Roger. We're talking about video a little bit later today too. And you can take that content and create all kinds of video stuff, right? YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, long-form YouTube content, Facebook Lives, TikTok. I mean, there's almost an unending amount of opportunities to take this content and create video out of it. Additionally, you can take your live video, because AI doesn't really have that uncanny valley thing anymore. You guys know what uncanny valley is? If you raise your hand, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Where it's like almost human, but it's not quite. Where you take your video and you can do the translations into different languages if you want to. And it's gotten really good at matching your voice and your cadence and your style, and your mouth doesn't look weird. It used to. And so there are just a massive amount of opportunities for video. And I'm not stressing it too much because we've already talked about it, and we're going to be talking about it some more, but please do not forget video as part of your strategy for not just you, but for your customer and whoever. And AI can help you with all of that. And don't forget it. Show your face, because even though some of us have a face for radio, you still want to, that's me, you still want to show it because it generates that connection and that humanity. I'm going to skip that one because it sucks. It was just a few case study stories, but Airbnb was in there, and I don't want to talk about them right now. So look it up, you'll figure it out. So there's this automation circle, right? And the title being Authenticity is New Automation. Again, that's what they spit out for me. And I didn't change it because whatever. But you can utilize AI. See the little R2-D2 guy? That's actually pretty fun. I just noticed that. He looks like R2-D2. That's awesome. Who's a Star Wars fan in here? Anybody like Star Wars? Yes, I love Star Wars. Simple plug. I've got a podcast that I use AI for that I'm taking over as showrunner in February. It's called Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast. And I've been using AI to come up with ideas for how to do some of these interviews. I'm trying to get some Really cool people. I'm actually friends with a presenter on Trek Central who's got a YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys know who Trek Central is, but Sean Farrick, he's one of the guys there. And I'm using AI to create a list of show topics for season 4, right? So I'm using it to help me with ideas for this Star Trek Undiscovered podcast. Go look it up on Spotify. And it's been super, super helpful. It's because it's so efficient. It gives me so many great ideas that I can run with. Some of them aren't great, but some of them are gold. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Because then once I get that, then I'm able to go out and say, I want to try and find some people that I can interview. Now, we have a group of panelists that have been a part of this podcast for a long time, for the first 3 seasons, and we're going to continue to do that. But I'm hoping to increase our exposure by bringing in some other Star Trek podcasters or other people who are interested in Star Trek or other people who are interested in science fiction to just talk about this thing called Star Trek, which I really love, okay? And I can love both, Star Trek and Star Wars. We all agree that it's okay to love both? Yeah? All right. And it's just another passion of mine. I really enjoy it. None of my family likes it, so I need to have an outlet to have a place to talk about it. My wife thinks I'm really crazy and weird for liking this thing, and that's totally fine. She does woodworking and she builds stuff in the shop. I am useless with that. So she's, when somebody comes to fix something on the house, I'm like, go talk to her. What the hell are you doing here? Why are you here? She's in the shop. Go talk to her. She knows better. So I'm taking the AI, those different prompts, those great ideas. I'm adding some humanity to help those podcasts, those episodes pop, right? And I'm hoping that through that, we can connect with a broader audience and get some other listeners. But I'm trying to increase the humanity and the emotion and the purpose behind it. And then through that, I'm hoping that the podcast thrives, but you can also relate this to anything. Your own podcast, your YouTube channel, a multifaceted integrated marketing campaign, right? This cycle works for all of that. So I hope you took pictures of that slide. It works for all of that. I used to be in the printing industry, and I used to be one of those guys that focused a lot on integrated marketing. So printed material being sent out, direct mail that had a pearl on it. You guys remember pearls? P-U-R-Ls? Okay. I'm not that old, am I really? But I used to do a lot of the integrated marketing. This was before QR codes even took off. They were still there, and we used them, but nobody knew what to do with them because the smartphones weren't smart enough to do it. But AI can generate all of this. It can generate the words, it can generate the video, it can generate everything, but it's only us as humans that give that stuff meaning and purpose, right? We have to maintain our connection with our community, our customers, our people, while using AI. It's vital. Because anything else is just boring. It has no soul. I don't necessarily want to read really boring content. I'll leave you with this. Don't compete with the machine. You can't do that, right? You can't generate as many ideas per minute that AI can. But what you can be is what it isn't, and that's a human. I've been Jeff. Thank you very much. We'll see you later. Oh, hi, Chad.
Hey, how are you?
How are you? I love you.
I'm going to go this way.
Look, I mean, look, it's 9:30 in the morning. I wanted to make it uncomfortable.